You ready, Joe? All right, we'll call the special meeting of March 15th, 2022 to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Sean Douglas.
Here.
Michelle Hayes.
Here.
Brian Horvath.
Here.
Gene Sensi.
Here.
Jeff Thompson.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 1st, 2022 regular meeting?
I'll move. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 15th, 2022 regular meeting?
I move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, we'll move into board member reports, and I'll start this evening. This was in the News Herald and was sent out in our Madison Good News page, but unfortunately, Mike Vaccarello, our treasurer, has resigned effective May 1st to accept a position with the Mentor Schools. So congratulations to him, and Mentor's gain is our loss here. We're going to need to hire an interim treasurer to get us through the end of the fiscal year, and then we're going to need to do a search in order to find a permanent treasurer. Later in the meeting, usually at the end of the meeting, if we have a need for executive session, we move into executive session. We're going to do that, and we're going to meet with some officials here from the Lake Educational Services Center of the Western Reserve, which is Lake and Geauga County, and they are available to offer us services for both a interim treasurer and to assist us in searching for a permanent treasurer. So unlike most meetings, when we go into executive session, we come out, we adjourn, we will go into executive session, and we will consider a shared services agreement with the ESC to provide an interim treasurer for us, and we'll also consider an agreement with the ESC to assist us in that search. Additionally, you're going to start seeing some special meetings. Regular meetings are the meetings that we approve in January. In January, we approve the meetings, and those are all the regular meetings that will occur throughout the year. Any change we have, including time, location, those sorts of things, change a regular meeting to a special meeting. So we're going to have special meetings, and in many instances, those are going to be meetings where we don't have any public participation, we don't have any agenda items, with the exception of moving into executive session to interview candidates for a new treasurer. So I just wanted to explain that because that can get confusing sometimes. One moment. I also want to provide an update on the Auburn situation that I talked about last time. Last meeting, we had a meeting at 4:30 instead of 6, like we are doing today. That was so that my colleague here, Brian Horvath, and I could attend the Auburn Career Center board meeting. We were very concerned, especially I was, about Auburn's modified admission criteria that they're using, removing merit-based admission criteria in place of a randomized process, basically a lottery. So Brian and I did go to that meeting, and it was very interesting. We were put in a separate room. The board met in one room. All the audience members sat in a separate room and watched on TV. Never been to a public board meeting in my life where they put the audience in another room, but that's how that happened. There were about 45 people there. Many people spoke about the new admission criteria for Auburn. Brian and I were not able to speak. They had other folks who were registered to speak. Every single speaker that we heard spoke against Auburn's new admission criteria, including employers who recruit from Auburn. Most notably, in my opinion, was Jennifer Peeler, who owns Jennifer & Company in Mentor, and she hires from their cosmetology program. And she spoke out against this randomized process, you know, instead of utilizing or relying on merit. You know, they're just doing a lottery. If you meet the minimum course prerequisites, you're in a lottery, and that's who gets into those competitive programs. There are many programs at Auburn that don't fill up and all the kids that meet the prerequisites get in, but that's not the case with some of their competitive programs. Interestingly, their public participation policy was 3 minutes per speaker with a max of 15 minutes. We sent a letter, I signed off on behalf of the board to Auburn, expressing our concern and hopefully asking them to have a more collaborative process where they would utilize the member districts and have representatives. Riverside has since sent a similar letter, and I spoke to the board president at Perry, and they are considering another letter similar to ours tonight. So I just wanted to talk basically about Auburn. And the last thing for me, does anybody else have a report they want to give before I go on to the next piece?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So the last piece is our public participation portion I wanted to talk about. As I mentioned, Auburn has 3 minutes, max of 15. I believe Perry has the same policy. Fairport Harbor doesn't, to my understanding, allow public comment at their meetings. They allow people to submit written comments, and then they attach those to their board minutes. We allow 5 minutes with a max of 30 minutes. So when we have public participation, participants need to be addressing the board. That's why they're here, to talk to the board. To please be respectful and abide by our time limits. If we continue to have disruptions like we did last time, the board will consider its options. One of those options is just to eliminate public participation altogether, because we're not required to have it by law. Second is we can reduce the time to match some of the other boards that allow for less time. Or we can do what Fairport does and ask people to submit written comments and then attach them to the minutes. So we certainly hope that doesn't become necessary. But having said that, we'll now open our public participation portion, and our first speaker is Paula Yusko. Yeah.
Good evening to the board.
Hello.
Good evening to the board. I would like to talk to you about the National Honor Society process. Based on feedback from the Department of Education and the National Honor Society National Board and the NASSP, which is the National Association of Secondary School Principals, I'd like to state for the record that we have been encouraged by all 3 offices to file an official complaint due to misleading information in the NHS application and instruction packet given to the students at Madison High School. The complaint has been filed against Madison High School NHS process due to the instructions that are provided to the students for this selection. It is misleading, confusing, and no student today could possibly be reviewed equally based on those instructions. All documents should be reviewed, updated, and recommunicated. No student who is qualified and has earned an NHS recognition should be denied this opportunity. And unfortunately, this administration, leadership board, and NHS advisors have failed a deserving student, and I simply think that's wrong. I honestly don't know how anyone could not see that there's a procedural issue in the instructions, specifically on the service page in the packet for the NHS selection process. As it currently states today, lists community activities in which you have participated in and note any major accomplishments in each. These should be activities outside of school in which you have participated for the betterment of your community. For example, church groups, clubs, sponsors outside of the school, Boys and Girl Scouts, and volunteer groups and community art endeavors. That is exactly how it is stated on the packet today. I would like to state that the Madison High School NHS advisors and the council and administrators have turned down a student who has followed all of those criteria. And it's noted that this student also had significant community service with the local school, with the local church, teaching and assisting with preschool kids in 9th grade, volunteered at the YMCA for years with multiple youth camps, and was selected as a youth leader in the community in the summer preceding 10th grade. The student also played 2 high school sports, tennis and basketball, carried a 4.2 weighted grade point average, and participates in CCP program, earning more than 36 credit hours already as a junior. No discipline issues either. Based on the conversations with both the advisors and the principal of the high school, the student would have been accepted into the NHS, and she would have been qualified had she put those inside school activities that she has done. Again, it says outside activities. This Madison board and this administration should be ashamed and embarrassed by the NHS selection process by denying a deserving student like this one. There is a serious issue with the NHS selection process. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Lampman.
Hello.
Hello.
That's a hard pass, thanks. While now it is a tough time to try to hire a new treasurer for our district, or any for that matter, I look forward to some new blood coming in and shaking up our finances, some new eyes, some new ideas, some creativity. That can surely help pave the way for some financial improvements. It's very daunting to come to a board meeting and continuously hear bad news about how in debt we are as a district. Our kids are struggling, our buildings need improvements, and our staff is struggling. We have to figure out a way to switch gears and recover. Maybe begin with basic budget cuts with inter-office expenses instead of our children's tutoring programs. While going over our district's financials, I'm seeing some expenses that don't seem logical to me. Maybe that's because I'm not a professional school treasurer, but I can't wrap my head around it. I understand our board attends seminars, but these seminars really, do they really run costs into the thousands of dollars for travel expenses? OSBA is considered continuing education. Is the cost of this expended, or are we utilizing continuing education grants, or are we just, how are we funding this? Treasurer telephone expenses listed anywhere between $1,300 upwards to $4,300. What telephone expense? I don't understand what that is. Admin, meeting, and mileage anywhere between $9,700 to $16,000. I'd like to have the opportunity to sit down with our treasurer to get some clarification on those numbers before he leaves our district in May to help alleviate some of those concerns. Maybe we could possibly look at getting a finance committee together, maybe with an entire team working towards rebuilding our district to be a financial success. Other districts utilize similar committees. I think we can too. If we really want to turn the district around, then we need smart spending. I spoke with Sean about bringing back some sports tournaments. Over the last 4 months, I've been all over the state of Ohio attending wrestling tournaments. Those tournaments are bringing in 5 figures, easy, with concessions and admissions and gear and everything. We can pull that off in Madison. We got nice enough facilities. We got enough volunteers to do that. We can definitely do that and bring that revenue into our district without a problem. Instead of destroying our property our district owns by logging it without a development plan, or potentially selling our district's real estate, can we look into sourcing and utilizing existing talent that's already within our system and our district without having to pay someone else to do it? Don't outsource a job if we can do it here in-house. Let our community know what kind of candidates we need, and let's try to pull together and work together to figure out the problems. As leaders, you should be, and I expect you to be, looking for opportunities to show sacrifice. Leaders should always look for opportunities that demonstrate their own willingness to make a personal sacrifice for the greater good. Are we utilizing, or can we utilize, new market tax credits, energy conservation grants, historic tax credits? Whatever treasurer that we bring in needs to be young and eager and ready to hit the ground running to revamp our financial situation. We can monetize our facilities and buildings. A convention center approach can allow our buildings to serve as multi-purpose buildings, not just corridors of classrooms. Can we look into renting out our gym spaces to, personal trainers or fitness instructors? Art rooms can be used for instructional art courses or family paint nights for the public, and our district can get money for that. Our technology, are we leasing it or are we purchasing it? Technology is ever-changing and it becomes obsolete in roughly 3 years' time. Leasing is financially the way to go, and it makes sense, when we're trying to reduce spending. Again, I don't know what we do because I haven't been able to have that conversation yet, but it's just an idea. If we're going to call ourselves Madison Strong, then that's what we need to start being. I don't want to brag that we are the lowest cost per pupil out of other districts. I want to brag that we are investing in our children instead, because they are our future. I want to be proud of the treasurer that we bring into this board and be able to boast about the fiscal health of our small town district. Skip over that. I had some concerns submitted to me. Can the community look forward to a possibility of an open forum discussion format being utilized in the future for folks who have questions during a meeting, similar to a live Q&A? Being able to speak freely or ask questions directly to our Board of Education would be much more productive, people are feeling.
About 30 seconds, Jessica.
All right. Drug issue. I've had, my inbox is blowing up with drug issues at our high school and middle school. I don't know if we can utilize Lake County Sheriff Canine Services. I know Riverside utilizes that a lot. They bring them in and do random searches. I don't know if we can do that, but we have kids smoking those Juul machines and vape machines in the bathrooms. We can't go in there and hold their hand to go to the bathroom. I realize that, but we gotta whip these kids into shape. That's insane.
I think your time's expired. Thank you. Daisy Moles. Okay. Well, that will conclude our public participation portion for tonight. So the next item is the resignation of the treasurer. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation of Michael Vaccarello effective May 2nd, 2022? Is that May 1st or May 2nd, Mike?
It's May 2nd.
Okay.
I'll move.
I guess I'll second it. I'm not happy about it, but we'll second it. I hate to have Mike leave, but I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
I don't even know where to begin, Mike. It's been a privilege to work with you, and I was definitely looking forward to serving the next 4 years with you. And I do wish you well. I understand it's a wonderful opportunity, but you've done a lot of good for Madison. Having someone as knowledgeable and trustworthy and honest as you are has really made my job easier. And I will miss working with you.
Thank you. Same here.
Any other discussion? A roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, we'll move on to reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Thank you. I don't have anything but what's on the agenda tonight. So the first resolution is to approve the financial reports for all funds, fund-to-fund transfer report, and the check payment register for February 2022.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. The next is to adopt a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just briefly, this doesn't allow us to put a tax levy on the ballot. There was some information floating out there when the Mentor Board was voting on this. This is certifying the rates that have already appeared on your tax bills and people have already paid their first half taxes on.
Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. The next is to adopt the Section 125 Flexible Fringe Benefit Plan for the employees of the Madison local schools to be effective July 1st, 2022.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And then finally, to accept a generous donation of $500 from Brian Horvath, Carmoose, to North Elementary School to be used for the streak fund.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you, Brian. Roll call?
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And that's all I have this evening.
All right, we'll move to reports of the administrative team.
First, I'd like to say I will greatly miss Mike. We've been together 11 years. We truly have a partnership in our office. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but at the end, we always make a decision in the best interest of the students of this district, and that is how he has operated as a treasurer his entire time in Madison, and my understanding his time before that in Riverside. So you will be greatly missed, Mike.
Thank you.
The ODE came out with a little bit of good news for some of our seniors who are still trying to get enough graduation points. In years past, we couldn't get the spring testing back for several tests until June. We will get math, science, and history and government scores back May 10th, which will allow us to see which students can benefit from passing scores, hopefully, for graduation. So that's some good news. After break, we will begin that scheduling process. We will be bringing forward at the April meeting the program of studies so that that can be board approved. And that we're on our way to next year, which next year also on the calendar will be the calendar for next year on that agenda in April. And you will be getting a calendar first week in April of all the spring events. This year we have a full docket of spring events. You know, now that we're on the other side of the COVID pandemic, I guess we're in what's called an endemic. And we're going to be moving full force into some of our spring activities that our students and families have loved. This week, we are officially not having to report any more COVID-19 data to the county. The state came out last week and said they are only going to report data on cases once a week on Thursdays. Schools do not have to do any more reporting. So Dave's time has significantly freed up. And that's my report this evening. Jen, Dave, do you have anything for the agenda this evening?
I have nothing this evening.
All right, then we'll move right into my recommendations. I got to turn the page here. Under the personnel motion, we're asking you to accept the following resignation. Leanne Rivera, Assistant to the Treasurer, effective March 11th, 2022. We're asking you to enter into the following employment contracts. Scott Harold as Assistant Boys Tennis Coach and Taylor Miller as Freshman Baseball Coach. And the following non-certificated persons under a one-year limited personal service contract. Chip Sorber as MHS Assistant Boys Track Coach. Holly Barton, MHS Co-JV Softball Coach. Matt Johnson, MHS Co-JV Softball Coach. And that's the personnel motion this evening.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Jeff Thompson,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And the next item is a resolution to waive non-bargaining unit employees' vacation carryover restrictions for the 2021-22 contract year.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll just say normally employees take their vacation each year with a transition that we're having here in our treasurer's office, and then also some other issues with administration, we're just going to allow folks to carry over a little bit more vacation so that we can take that, or they can take that at a time that's a bit more planful. And that'll help the district stay on track. Roll call?
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And the next item this evening is an amendment to the contract between the Madison Local Schools and the Lake County Schools Council. If you want to go ahead and do the motion in the second, I'll explain it.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right.
Well, you can explain it now.
Okay. We had a fiscal agency contract with the Lake County Schools Council, which provides the benefits. With Mike leaving and being in a state of transition, Mike and I talked, and we both agree that it's time to let that go out to RFP to other districts. So that's the point to this amendment.
So we act as the fiscal agent for the schools group for purchasing health insurance. Mike acts as the treasurer for them, or whatever the right term is. And with Mike leaving, this is not something to saddle a brand-new treasurer coming into the district with, or our interim treasurer who just needs to make sure we can close out the books on the fiscal year. Roll call?
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, and on the consent calendar tonight, we have several items. To approve the settlement agreement between the Madison Board of Education and the parents of a special needs student and provide the superintendent treasurer authorization to carry out the specific terms of the agreement. To approve the replacement of 2 serving lines at Madison High School at a cost not to exceed $62,000 with funds from the Nutrition Services account, and enter into a consultant services contract with Taylor Miller in the amount of $2,100 as a freshman basketball coach.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
So is this number 1, Mike, for executive session?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to move into executive session for the purposes of the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees or regulated individuals, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or regulated individual unless such person requests a public hearing?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? As I mentioned earlier, we will be reconvening after we have this executive session, meeting with folks from the ESC, and we will consider those 2 agenda items that are listed on the agenda. So if you're interested in sticking around, you're certainly welcome to do that, but we'll be moving into executive session. Roll call?
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right. Stand.
So Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion to enter into a contract between the Madison Local School District and the Educational Services Center of the Western Reserve to conduct the treasurer search as found on file in the board office?
I move.
Second.
Any discussion? We really appreciate the relationship with ESC. We had a resignation 1 week ago officially from Mike, and so now we're going to be entering into these contracts to do a search and to have an interim treasurer. So I think that speaks volumes to the support we're getting from the ESC of the Western Reserve. Roll call?
Gene Sensi?
Yes.
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
We have a motion to enter into a contract between the Madison Local School District and the Educational Services Center of the Western Reserve to provide interim treasurer services beginning May 2nd, 2022, as found on file in the board office.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Jeff Thompson?
Yes.
Sean Douglas?
Yes.
Michelle Hayes?
Yes.
Brian Horvath?
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Brian Horvath.
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Jeff Thompson.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Stand at recess. Adjournment. Sorry.
What did we say?
Adjournment.